Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of In the Spotlight. I'm Mike Kenichi, and I'm really excited today because we have a very special guest. And I got to say this, someone that is as young as she is to be able to do the things she's doing right now is remarkable. And she not only wrote, directed, but she also starred in the Judy Tenuta Story, which we're going to really touch upon a lot. And she's also a singer as well. She was in the band Teeth. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you Miss Taylor Blackwell. And Taylor, thank you for coming on today. It's a real honor for me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the kind introduction.
So Taylor, interestingly enough, like I said in the opening, for somebody as young as you are to write such an extraordinary film like you did, I mean, it's very rare because you haven't even reached your 27th birthday yet. But let me ask you, how did the love for not just acting, but how did the love for writing begin for you?
Hmm. The love of acting came really young. I've been acting since I was 5, and I really fell in love with it immediately. I first started doing local theater and also doing commercials, which sort of snowballed into what I'm now doing. But pretty from a very young age, I just enjoyed being on set and being around so many different kinds of people and watching everyone have different jobs and that collaborative process. And I think with the love of acting comes an innate love of storytelling. And really, the initial desire to write came from this want to write myself roles. And that turned into me wanting to write in general and to just be able to tell stories.
Right. So Taylor, also, I mean, I mentioned your love for music, and you and Harley Quinn Smith, you both co-founded the group The Tenth. And talk to me how that came about and how the love for music began, because I a lot of times music and acting go hand in hand with each other, especially in films. So just talk about how the love for music started for you.
I've always enjoyed music and played piano. I think I started learning when I was around 8 and then picked up some other instruments throughout my teen years. And Harley and I were friends, and we went to go see a punk show together, which was definitely my first punk show at this place called The Smell in downtown Los Angeles. And we both were just so excited by the energy and the performance and seeing all these young people get excited about a show. And I don't even remember who we saw play, but the performers were actually pretty messy. I remember one of the musicians that we saw that night was, I think, probably very drunk and kind of falling over on stage, but it was sort of mesmerizing. And we kind of made a pact that night that we were going to start a band, and that's what happened.
Wow. And I mean, a lot of times that happens. And I think when you're at a young age too, you have to dream big. But I think you were 9 or 10 years old, Taylor, when you joined Burt Reynolds' weekly master acting class. So talk about that a little bit. I think it was in Jupiter, Florida. And I mean, you're learning from the best right there. So talk about that acting class and how beneficial that was to you.
Right. I was taking improv classes at the Burt Reynolds Institute for Film and Theater in Jupiter, Florida, which is where he grew up. Like myself, I grew up in Jupiter too. So we had that in common. And I was taking a class not with him, with another instructor, and that instructor saw something in me and recommended that I be brought into this master acting class that Mr. Reynolds taught. And he was my mentor really until he passed away. So from age 10 till, gosh, I'm not sure how old I was when he passed. I'd say probably early 20s, maybe.
Right. And I mean, let me ask you, I mean, obviously they can't teach you all the rules of the game, but they definitely teach you how to be a good actor. I mean, just talk about some of the lessons you took with you that you take with you right now in your everyday life.
I loved his passion for filmmaking and being on set, and he would tell us so many stories of his experiences, and that was always really enjoyable to me. And I wish I had written down some of those stories. They're probably in his memoir, so I'm sure there's a record of them. But I wish I had had the foresight to take my own personal notes from that time. But granted, I was pretty young when I started the class. But he always felt that less was more when it came to acting. That was the big thing that he'd repeat over and over again in our class.
Right. And now let me ask you, Taylor, did you watch a lot of the classic movies, say movies from the 80s, 90s as a kid that like I don't want to say that you took into some of the writing you do or the acting you do, but were you a big fan of the classics like that? And, you know, it sounds like to me that you take a lot of your acting from, you know, people like Burt Reynolds, the legendary actors.
Definitely. My grandparents especially introduced me to a lot of those classic films, and I really loved the musicals of the 50s and 60s especially. Gypsy is one of my favorite movies with Rosalind Russell and Natalie Wood. I think that movie is fantastic. And I love Cabaret too. I but there's so many from that time that are just incredible. And not just for the performances, but for the set decorations and costumes and the grand scale of them.
Right. And around your, I would say around your 20th birthday, Taylor, you released, you and Harley released your first song, Boys We Don't Know. Talk about that a little bit because that's a very good listen and it's, you know, available anywhere you want to see it, Apple Music, iTunes. So talk about that a little bit.
Thank you. Yeah, we put out a, I guess, 4-song EP, and technically, I think there's 8 tracks on it because we had little introductions to each track that our producer thought it'd be fun if we gave a little context to these songs. And each song is named after a boy we didn't know. And the first song that we wrote on that EP was about a boy named Kyle who we had the night we formed the band, there had been somebody screaming outside the music venue we were at, Kyle, 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 I love you. But we never saw who Kyle was. He was just this enigma to us. And that was sort of the origin of it. And then we, from there, just kept writing songs about these boys that we either had a fondness from afar or a dislike of from afar.
Right. And probably less than a year later, you released your first album, Dunes. And I think that had about 13 songs on it. So talk about that a little bit because anytime you finally release an album, it has to be like you feel like you've kind of accomplished something big.
Definitely, that was really exciting, and we played a little album release show at Harley's house, which was so much fun to have all our friends and family there for that, and to play shows with Harley at places like the Troubadour and Alex's Bar was just a really cool experience.
Right. And I think about this, Taylor. Again, you're a writer, director, producer, actor, singer. It sounds like to me that you love doing them all, and there isn't one that you favor over the other. You just really love being able to work and do the best you can. Just talk about what motivates you to do different things each and every day.
I think I'm always searching for the intersection of my different artistic interests, and that was something that was very exciting about this Judy Tenuta project was it enabled me to act, to sing, to play accordion, which is something I don't get to do as much as I'd like to as a performer, and and then also write and direct too. So those opportunities where I can wear several different hats and have more creative control is what I look for the most. And I find that all these art forms, they're really very much connected for me and just different mediums to express probably the same thing, just different methods of storytelling.
Right. And let's talk a little bit, Taylor, before we talk about the film, talk about Judy a little bit. And I mean, what a career she had. And I mean, she did everything you could possibly do. I mean, she was all over the place, tremendous comedian and just a phenomenal talent in the business. Talk about like what inspired you to write something like this and act in it. How did you get familiar with Judy's career?
It was really after she passed away that I became very familiar with her. I had had some name recognition of her prior to that, but when I was reading all these headlines about the Aphrodite, the accordion passing away, that really sparked my curiosity and sent me down a rabbit hole of watching her comedy specials and interviews and being really captivated by her energy. and her zest and her craziness, and how she could be very sweet at points and also very sour at points on stage. And for me as a performer, that was really enticing to get to play someone with so many different colors. And so selfishly, I was drawn to this idea of getting to play someone who had quickly become a hero for me, and to get to have an acting role that was more than just one note. Sometimes I have roles that it's more or less the same thing, but this was so dynamic that it was seemed really interesting to me.
Right. And I mean, the thing of it is too, Taylor, is God, you're like a dead ringer for her. I mean, you really, when you watch it, you really feel like you're watching Judy, and that's important too. I think about Man on the Moon, a movie that came out almost 30 years ago, and it was about Andy Kaufman, and Jim
Mhm.
Carrey played it. And at first, I was like, "There's no way Jim Carrey is going to come across as Andy Kaufman," but he really did. I mean, you really felt like it was Andy Kaufman, and that's because he played it so brilliantly. And that's what you do with Judy. I mean, you really are a dead ringer for her and sound like her. I mean, God, I mean, I don't think people would be able to tell the difference watching this. So talk about the preparation that you went through. You really had to kind of watch a lot of her stuff and kind of really, it probably took you a lot of time to kind of perfect playing that type of role.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I was doing so much watching her material just through the course of writing the script. So by the time it came around for me to start preparing to play her with the script already written, I had seen just probably countless hours of her performance. So I feel like I already had some of that ingrained in me. And then from there, it was really just a matter of getting her voice down, getting the nuances of her movement down, and finding the places in the script where I wanted to go high with my voice or more of that lower gravelly, raspy quality that she had. And I was lucky that I had a really fantastic costumer and makeup artist who was also doing hair on the film, who helped with that transformation of making me appear like her, thinning out my eyebrows. My eyebrows are a lot thicker than hers, and trying to recreate the makeup as closely as possible.
And I think about this too, Taylor. It's one thing to get her voice down to perfection, the look, mannerisms, everything like that. But when you're doing a biography on somebody and you're putting it on the screen and people need to believe that you're playing that actress, that character, you have to like study everything. Like you have to basically go through her whole career. So you could kind of make people believe, okay, this is what it looks like, when she's doing this special with Ellen DeGeneres, or she's doing this thing with different various people. Like you really have to do your homework if you're going to play such a legendary part like Judy's part. So just talk about the work that went into, like, how long would you say it took you between not just writing the film, but trying to get everything down and, go over her whole biography and things like that? How long would you say it took you before this all came about?
I'm trying to think of what the timeline was, but I'd had the idea in my head for several months that I wanted to play her, but I wasn't really acting upon it at all. It was just sort of in the back of my head. And I would have maybe ideas for it here and there, but it wasn't until probably a few months before we started filming that I really started to research and write the script and connect with her estate and get their blessing for us to do this project. And then we only filmed the movie over the course of 2 days, which was insanity. And then, of course, there was a pretty long process of editing the film and coloring it and sound design and the score and all of those things. So probably all of it spread out over the course of a year or so, but it's hard to actually remember what the specific lengths of time where it feels almost like a daydream at this point.
Right. So let me ask you this, Taylor. You obviously had to talk to different people that knew her over the years, her family, friends, co-workers, things like that. How many people during the course of putting this project together did you speak with in order to be properly prepared for everything?
I spoke to a lot of people. Judy's life partner, Vern Payne, was a really great resource for us because he not only shared stories about her, but also allowed us to use her real costumes and real accordion for the filming of the movie, which was really generous. And I feel brought a level of authenticity to the project and was just exciting for me as a performer. And I also was really lucky that I got to perform at a celebration of life for Judy at Hollywood Forever, which was also the unveiling of her statue there. And this was before we filmed the movie, and so many of her friends and her sister attended that event too. So that was a really great way for me to connect with a lot of people.
Right. Now, Taylor, in a lot of ways, if you really look at this film, it's your idea when you're presenting it is more, it's like kind of like a love letter to Judy, correct? Like it's like a way of sending her like a love letter about her life and things like that. So just talk about how, I mean, the acting is amazing, but the script and writing it is even more impressive. So just talk about putting that all on paper and how you wanted it to get done.
Thank you. I feel that Judy was very much a co-writer in this because we borrowed a lot of her real comedy material and then also little snippets of things that she would say in interviews and other on-stage experiences or from her book. She had published 2 books. So some of the dialogue comes directly from those things. And the real challenge of this was trying to paint a nice overview of her life, but also knowing the parameters of this is a short film. So how do we give that overview with limited time and resources? And I don't even really know entirely how it happened, but I think we accomplished that.
Right. And talk about some of the other actors you had that took part in this project. And, you're obviously you wrote the whole thing, but you always have to have a great crew behind the scenes. So just talk about some of those people because they're just important to the success of the film.
Oh, completely. We were really lucky that we had some great actors, including Alan Tudyk, who plays the Pope, which Judy often would sing about how she was dating the Pope and that she was just using him to get closer to God. So Alan Tudyk plays our Pope. And if you're not familiar with him, he is a remarkable actor. And I got to work with him on the show Resident Alien, but he's been in a million and one things and is hysterically funny. And then similarly, Alex Désert lended his talents to this film too. Again, you've definitely seen him. He's been in so many great things. He's currently a voice on The Simpsons, which is just super cool. And I recruited lots of other friends to participate both in the cast and crew. And my friend Brent Mata, he was our cinematographer and our producer. And this whole thing really happened because of him. He also loved Judy and wanted to bring her story to the screen.
Right. And Taylor, I find this interesting about Judy as well is I would say she had a lot to do with making HBO so successful when it came to comedy shows because she was doing comedy specials for HBO when they were only like in their 4th year of existence. And they were known back then more for their movies. They would show movies that hit the big screen and then they would be like the first to show them on television, paid television. So these comedy specials, later on, you'd see people like Dennis Miller who would have shows, Steve Harvey. But really, Judy, in a lot of ways, was a pioneer when it came to hosting comedy specials for HBO.
Definitely. She also did one for Showtime as well. That's pretty great. So she, and then the first one that she did was Women of the Night, which you might have referenced earlier, but that had Rita Redner and Ellen
Yeah.
DeGeneres and Paula Poundstone and some incredible women of comedy that were all participating in that. And Martin Short was the MC of the event. So it's pretty fun looking back at that special and seeing all these incredible women at the very beginning of their careers.
Now, Taylor, yourself and so many actors make it look so effortlessly when they go out there. But I got to believe anytime, excuse me, anytime that you're doing something like this and you're playing a part of a person who was as famous as Judy was, there's got to be a lot of nerves. And, you know, you want to make sure you get everything down. So while you enjoyed doing it, was there times where you were nervous when you were filming it, hoping that it, you know, you would have it down to basically what Judy was and how she acted and things like that?
A little bit for sure. I had never previously played a real person, so there was a pressure in wanting to get it right for the sake of her legacy and her friends and family who were so supportive of the project, and also for people who were fans of hers. I wanted them to feel I did it justice as well. And really, up until the last minutes, I was watching recordings of her. I had sort of put together an edited version of a bunch of different comedy specials and interviews that she had did, some of which she's saying the actual dialogue that I say in our movie. And that was a great reference point for me to be able to watch and look back at her mannerisms and the voice and just her overall essence, to have a quick reminder before I went into my own version of it.
Right. And Taylor, as I talk to you right now and I see like how laid back you are, mild manner and things like that, that's what really impresses me the most about how you played this part, because you were so funny in it. And one of the things about playing her is you had to be believable, because you hear different stories. And one of the best things you ever heard about Judy was people would refer to her as the best comedian in the world, and if you don't believe it, just ask her, she'll tell you. So she was really funny, she really was. But you really make people believe, like, I can't say that enough, that you really are Judy. And just talk about how important it was for you to, you know, play this part and make people believe that you really were Judy, because I think that's important too. Like, you know, when they do certain documentaries, I'll look, you know, I hate bringing his name up because of the stuff he did, but O.J. Simpson, Cuba Gooding Jr. played him in the movie. I never really could buy Cuba as looking like OJ or anything like that. But you truly look like Judy in this movie and sound like her and do everything like her. So just talk about how important that was for you to make people believe that that's who you were in that movie.
Thank you. Yeah, as a audience member, I really enjoy seeing biopics, and I get frustrated when I feel someone doesn't look like the person they're portraying or have the same energy or essence of that person. So I, of course, wanted to get that right. And it seemed like a fun challenge for me, something that I hadn't really experienced before as a performer, was stepping into someone's shoes. And I also just knew that this was hopefully going to be a part of preserving and continuing her legacy. So there was an honor that came with that, and also an importance to that for me.
And I think about this too, Taylor. We talked about the writing, we talked about the acting. But again, somebody so young like yourself in a big movie like this, being a director, that's not easy either. And a lot of people don't start directing until they're in their 30s. So for somebody so young to direct this, how challenging was that for you? Because as a director, you have to make sure you have everything the way you want it, like how you want this scene to play out, how you want this person to act it out. So talk about the challenges of directing this film.
I think the challenges were that we had limited time and budget, frankly, and I didn't want to compromise my acting performance, which was the driving part of this film, because I was too focused on other things or having to deal with things that were more on a technical basis. So having that proper balance of being available to my cast and crew, but also making sure that I was really locked in as the performer was a bit tricky.
Right. And the thing about the film as well, Taylor, is that I don't think throughout any of it, you look at it and are bored. I mean, you watch it and it from start to finish, it's just a great, like you said, a short film, but it does its purpose. It serves its purpose. And you really get to kind of, for young people who didn't really get to see Judy, you really get to see just how brilliant and talented she was, because I'll tell you what, you could put her career up against anybody's when it comes to comedy, when it comes to acting. You could put her up there with anybody. That's how good she was.
I agree. And the hope too is that people who already love her walking into this film walk away from our movie enjoying her even more and happy to celebrate her. And then the people who maybe had no idea who Judy was before seeing this movie are interested in learning more about her. And we've gotten that feedback from people already, which is really nice, that, oh, I didn't really know who Judy was, but now I'm super curious about her. And after I saw your film, I watched a comedy special of hers. So that's been really touching.
And let me ask you, Taylor, how proud are you to be able to not only put this film together? Again, you wrote it, directed it, acted in it, but how proud are you to have put such a film together for such a legendary talent like Judy? Because, I mean, I would have to think right now in your very young career, this has got to be the biggest highlight you've done so far.
Yeah, I'm really proud of it. I got to watch it on a big screen for the first time recently at the LA Film Festival, and that was just so exciting to hear live reaction from the audience and laughter. It was a really validating experience.
Right. And talk about these film festivals too, Taylor, because these things are so enjoyable to go to and you get to see different things like this. How important is it to put these type of projects on these festivals? Because it really gets a group of people who may not have went in knowing what to expect, but they really go and enjoy watching the film. And then once it goes on to a streaming service, wherever it might go on, it just becomes popular and popular. And I'm sure down the road, this film is going to have a cult following. So just talk about how important these film festivals are.
Right. It grants us access to audiences that we might not have found if not for these festivals. And it's really exciting to see just a general interest in film festivals these days. There's so many, and a lot of them are extremely popular. So I'm looking forward to hopefully putting this film in more festivals. And if you're watching this and you run a film festival, reach out, because we'd love to play more festivals and travel more around the country with this movie.
Right. And let me ask you this, Taylor. What is the goal as far as down the road, once like it's been shown, where you feel like it's been shown enough at these festivals and different things? What is the next step? I mean, because people are going to want, people who can't go to film festivals, I'm sure would love to watch this. Where do you hope to, like, is it on any streaming networks yet, or is that still in the works?
That's still in the works. A lot of the festivals want to be the place that debuts the film or debuts it in that state or in that city. So it might be a minute before we're able to share the film online, and potentially maybe get distribution through one of these festivals would be really great. So we'll see. But I'm hopeful that in the near-ish future we can share the film online. I can't wait to have more eyes on it. And in the meantime, get to play some festivals and who knows, maybe make a longer form version of the movie at some point too.
Right. And what are some of the festivals that have already shown this that you've taken it to? Because I mean, it's been quite a few, and that's great. I mean, because you've got that foot in the door, and now more are gonna, I'm sure, hop on. But what are some of what film festivals thus far have displayed this film?
There's only been one so far, which is the LA Film Fest, which is also
Yeah.
called the Independent Filmmaker Showcase. And we won Best Indie Short at that film
Right.
festival. So that was pretty cool that we got to have that.
Right. And now let me ask you again, let's go back to the acting part of it. What would you say? I probably asked you this already, but I want to get more in depth with it. What would you say was the most challenging part of trying to play Judy? What would you say was, you know, fun, but also difficult at the same time?
I struggled for a bit to get her voice, especially the raspier lower part of her voice down. I I kept trying and trying, and I just felt it wasn't quite right. And then one day it sort of clicked into place for me. But it took me a minute. And her voice was so much a part of who she was as a performer. And I think it's a big part of what people remember her for. So I was eager to get it right.
Right. And Taylor, I mentioned the writing part of it, but when you're putting something on pen and paper and you want to make it as, let's be honest, you want to make it perfect. You want it to be the best it could possibly be because no film is ever going to be good without proper writing. How long would you say you spent writing this film on? Again, it's a love letter to this iconic actress. So just talk about how long it took you as far as the writing part went.
I'm trying to remember. I really am. I feel like I feel like sometimes I've had this a lot with songwriting where I write something and then I don't even really remember writing it. It almost feels like having a dream where you kind of forget the dream after. So I truly couldn't tell you. I feel like so much of the writing process was just collecting data, watching all these comedy specials and interviews that she gave, reading her books, and then sort of structuring a story based off of that information. So I feel like there was a lot of digesting information. And then when it came down to actually write the script, I feel like it was a fairly quick turnaround. But it had been sort of sizzling for a while prior to that with just ideas based off of this real information that I had access to.
And Taylor, while you were researching her, obviously there were so many things that stood out about her to you. But as you watched more and more and you researched, what are was there anything that even surprised you even more than you already thought about her? I mean, was there something that impressed you even more when you dove into this and really saw what she was all about?
Her family told me that she was a truly excellent accordion player, which is pretty cool. She plays sort of simply accordion when she's doing her comedy, but it turns out that she could actually really, really play accordion. And I also was really fascinated by finding out she was married to the comedian Emo Phillips. And that's something that I had wished I could even tell you more about, but neither of them talked about it very publicly. And even through connecting with Emo, which I got to do through this process, he was a bit tight-lipped about it. He's a pretty private person. So I am still wanting to know more. And I don't know if I ever will get to, but I am quite interested.
Right. And let me ask you, Taylor, is there any upcoming projects to this? Like, I don't want to say a sequel because you're writing about somebody's life already, but are there any books you might put together about her or any other films that kind of are like a continuation of this, like extraordinary comedian?
It's very possible. Yeah, like I mentioned, would really love to do a longer form version of it. So if someone sees this movie and wants to give us a whole lot of money to make a feature-length version, that'd be pretty awesome.
Right. So Taylor, I mean, you've put together, in my opinion, a masterpiece, and I think that the
Thanks.
more people see this, they're really gonna just, again, I compare it with The Man on the Moon. You know, like I said, Jim Carrey made me believe he was Andy Kaufman. You've made me believe that you're Judy Tenuta. But let me ask you, what upcoming films do you have in the works? Or, I mean, are you still making albums? And what could we look forward to going forward with Taylor Blackwell?
Yeah, I'm hoping to make another short, something totally different in the coming months, and also have some new music I've been toiling with for a while. So hopefully we'll have an update on that soon. I've got some demos that I'm trying to actually really flesh out. And aside from that, just I've got tricks up my sleeve, but nothing to reveal quite yet.
Right. And Taylor, I got to believe that somebody as talented as you with writing, directing, and acting, there's got to be a pilot in the future that you might write or you might want to star in. I mean, do you ever have like an idea of putting a pilot together that you might want to, pitch to some network or some streaming network? Because it sounds like to me that you are a great storyteller and you would definitely put together a great TV series.
Thank you. Yeah, that's my dream, is to be a showrunner someday. And I have loads of scripts that I'm eager to get made, and I'm hopeful that very soon I can get my first feature off the ground. It probably wouldn't be the Judy movie, but you never know. But I have another film that is a coming of age story that I'm excited about that I can hopefully make in the near future.
Right. So this film, folks, it's called It Happened, the Judy Tenuta Story. And like I said, Taylor, she's written it, directed it, she stars in it. I mean, she's doing a great job. And again, she's going to pitch it to more film festivals, but it's out there right now. I definitely, you could definitely go and you could find highlights of it. But Taylor, I really do applaud you, because I think like this is something that was years in the making. And the fact that you put this together for people to see, it's really remarkable. And I really do applaud the work that you put in to make this a successful project. So congratulations on doing that.
Thank you so much, Mike. Yeah, we have a trailer out that you can watch now. And we also put out an album of the music of the film, which includes the score by Claire McEwen and me performing Judy's The Pope song, as well as me performing some of her comedic stand-up bits. We have the music video for the Pope song out now with me and Alan Tudyk. So check out all those things and hopefully see you at a film festival in your area coming soon.
And folks, I would encourage you to first check out some of Judy's work. And I mean, I'm sure if you're listening, you know who Judy is. She's been around. She was around forever, legendary comedian. Watch some of her stuff and then go watch the trailer with Taylor. And I'm telling you, you're going to think it's Judy. I'm serious. That's how tremendous Taylor does doing this. So I hope that you'll check out both. But definitely check out Judy's work first, then go watch the trailer, because you will be in awe of just how talented Taylor is at portraying this, like I said, iconic comedian actress. Taylor, thank you so much for giving me some time today. It was a real honor for me. And it's really remarkable, like I said, because, again, I know that you're over 25 years old, but you're still very young to be doing what you've done thus far and putting something like this together. It just shows the type of person you are and the worker you are and how committed you are to be the very best. And I really do applaud your work, because what you're doing is phenomenal, and just keep doing it.
Thank you so much. And yeah, people can find all that stuff on my YouTube, which is just my name, Taylor Blackwell, and also my Instagram, The Musical Mushroom. So hope to connect with you. And thank you again, Mike. This was really fun.
Thank you, Taylor. I really appreciate it. And folks, we've got a phenomenal writer, actress, director in Taylor. She's going to be the next big thing in Hollywood. I really believe that, because she has the passion for this. She has the desire to do it, and she's motivated. And if you don't think so, go watch this trailer and then please watch the film. You're going to see what Taylor really is all about. And She's going to be doing great things, and this It Happened, the Judy Tenuta story, is proof of that. For In the Spotlight, I'm Mike Kenichi. She's Taylor Blackwell saying good night, everyone.